It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
Let me just stop this thing here. We're not answering that. No.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much, as always, for making your way here, checking out this series and the episode. Please do hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of the new interviews that we put out every single week. A brand new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to keep you up to date on your favorite artists, discover some new ones, and know what's happening in the music world. Of course, you can find us at iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, James J.Y. Young. The J.Y. stands for James Young. It's sort of a repetitive nickname, at least when we say the whole thing like that. The guitarist for Styx and I are going to be talking about the new Styx album, Crash of the Crown. It's a socially reflective new LP from the Chicago-born rock band, and we're going to go through an album that musically resonates with every era of the band, says James, and Tommy Shaw's lyrics that shows a responsibility to lead listeners, as he says, in a positive direction, while singing about some of the atrocities of the past few years. Now, James also going to reflect on his own playing, how his guitar furthers the song's stories, and his early fandom for Jimi Hendrix. And then we're going to turn the clocks back to 1981. This year marks 40 years for their huge record, Paradise Theater. I want to hear how it still speaks to today. And next year, it's the 50th anniversary, so we're going to hear about their plans for that as well. But for now, discussing Crash of the Crown, it's Kyle Meredith with Styx.
Kyle, James Young from the rock band Styx.
Congrats. I love Crash of the Crown. Everything that's happening here, of course, I'm a fan of the stuff you've done in the past. I was a big fan of the mission, and hearing you guys continue at this level, I mean, it's sort of amazing. It's unexpected for a lot of artists this late in the game. It's decades in the game is what I mean, obviously. But you guys are still, this, to me, might be one of your best records.
Well, we got our first recording contract signed February 22nd, 1972. So February 22nd next year will be 50 years. That's 2/22/22. So in the 49th year, we've put out a record, and it resonates with lots of different eras of the band's popularity. And yeah, I don't know. I did less writing on this than I have on any record before. During the pandemic, the way things were going around my neighborhood and my house, I really, was not motivated to write. But Tommy's situation was different, and he and his collaborator, Willa Vankovich, who is now kind of part of our band and is credited as producer of this, started writing and said, JY, we got a bunch of parts for you to play. Come on down here and do this, and then you're going to sing parts here, and you're singing this and that and the other thing. And so I have no writing credit on this for the first time ever on a Styx record, but those guys collectively are great writers, and Lawrence Gowan, and I can't leave him out of this because he's definitely credited as writing some stuff on here too. And those three guys sort of were the creative muscle that got it going, and I did my thing. Sang and played, and added some comments, as I would, having the only one that's been there all the way from the beginning. And I missed 2 shows when my wife was in the hospital. She had a stroke a while back, but otherwise I'm the only one that's played every Styx show since the beginning.
So it's interesting way to, I guess, have a relationship with this record. I mean, it sounds like, as you're saying, most of the work was done, separate of yourself. Do you find that gives you a different relationship with this set of songs than maybe the ones in the past have?
Well, I mean, this record resonates with, it might not resonate with every era, but every song resonates with one or two of the eras of Styx over the past 50 years. So it's all part of our portfolio, if you will. And none of it is foreign or strange or different to me. There's a very soft song on here, but we've had soft songs before. Sound the Alarm, I think, is a great song and a very timely one. for what's going on in the world. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like a Styx record.
With The Mission, coming out a few years ago, which I'm still listening to probably just as much these days, that being your first in such a long time, do you think getting that one sort of going and getting the new music machine going again, did that have any influence on this sets? Or was it just, maybe it was the pandemic and everybody had time? I don't know what you can attribute it to.
Well, the mission was, I have this degree in mechanical and aerospace engineering. I co-founded an astronomy club when I was in grade school. Was very into outer space. But I think if I would have brought the title of Mission to Mars, basically, I would have been terribly afraid of them saying to me, "Is that all you can come up with?" And I might have been guilty. But Tommy has a way of finding, our backgrounds are very different. We both are great guitar players. He's very great in one way. He's very great in more than one way. I'm great in one or two ways myself. And I started out on keyboards. That's everyone in our family was sat down to the piano at age 5, and you were playing the piano. And some of us got pretty good. I'm halfway decent. But Tommy brought this idea up, and I thought, well, if I brought this up, it'd go nowhere. But the fact that he brought it up, he has a way of finding the humanity in stories that might escape me. It's just that I'm the oldest child in my family, and oldest male child, not the oldest child. But there's two daughters born to my parents in the early 40s, and I was born in 49 after the Second World War, and I think that my parents finally figured it was safe to procreate again. So I was brought up in the space age, and so this was all great stuff. And we were all started on piano at age 5 in my house, and I just kind of was charmed by rock and roll. And then I saw Hendrix play 5 times, and so I play Stratocasters. Yeah, so the record I think is a great record, and my favorite song is Red Storm. I just listened to it the other day. I played the solo. That would be it's in my own style, but it just works beautifully in that song. So.
Well, I like what you said, that Tommy finds the way of to find the humanity in what's going on. Obviously, you don't even have to listen to the songs. You can just look at the song titles on Crash of the Crown here to, kind of get a glimpse of what's going on. The fight of our lives, hold back the darkness, save us from ourselves, common ground. That's just to name a handful right there. So I guess it would be the obvious question. Did he come in presenting, the grand concept of, hey, listen, this is the world right now. This is what we're going to be writing about?
Actually, Tommy, he and his outside collaborator, Will Evankovich, who's now producing our records and is sort of, an informal, semi-formal member of the band at this point. He's on stage with us for this tour. And he's accomplished man in his own right, and Tommy loves writing with him, and they write great stuff together. I don't think Tommy was concerned about anything. Tommy just writes. He's a writer, and he writes whether there's something to write about or not. And the range of his ability to write is much broader than mine, and I think that's beneficial at this stage because some of our fans are as old as I am, based on the audiences I see still coming out. So it's. I don't know. Tommy is the creative leader at this point in time, but let's not forget about Lawrence Gowan because he's a new addition to the band over the last decade and a half, and a phenomenal keyboard player, a great singer, and a writer in his own right. And his contribution is here. I don't know how much credit for writing he got, but his influence is all over it. And Todd Zuckerman, who doesn't get credit to write because there's no melody. It's melody and lyric is what songwriting copyrights are about. But Todd's drumming is unique and powerful and brings its own sort of strength to what we do. And to be on stage with these, people of such a high level skill set across the board is, needless to say, it's a wonderful thing.
Well, you all make magic together. I was thinking about, you talking about seeing Hendrix 5 times, which is kind of mind blowing to me. I mean, we know what kind of special moment that must have been now as we look back, and what was going on musically then and what's going on musically now, especially again on this new record. I mean, rock has been, it seems like it's always kind of played that line, right? Rock gets to be the voice of rebellion and the voice of reason, which seems almost contradictory, but you know, I know Tommy found a way to do it on this record. Do you think that it has, that rock has to be that voice in that sort of way?
Well, I think, you know, it's as you point out, a two-edged sword, and I think when there's a wrong and people are being wronged, someone needs to point that out. But once you've pointed out the wrong, you have to find a way to right the wrong, or make your best effort to right the wrong. And so, you know, I think we're there's no spring chickens in this band. Todd is the youngest, and he's pushing 50. So I don't know. I think we've all had a chance to see the world from a variety of places, and every one of us has, you know, been overseas to other countries and seen how the world works in different spots. And I think that global view helps frame things. And you know, it's one thing to squawk and complain about how bad things are, but it's, you know, somebody's got to help find the solutions. And I think we're good at pointing out the negatives and doing our damnedest to try and push things in a positive direction when we can. I mean, Sound the Alarm is a great sort of quiet song on this record, but I think it really is. It's a very moving song, and I think it's just you know, there's so much going on in the world. It's so hard to keep track of it, and you're getting bombarded with how many channels of television and radio and online. You're attacked from more angles than ever. And how does anyone keep all that straight? So I think, I don't know, we're doing our best to try and bring people joy, but also help keep themselves balanced.
I should point out that it's not just in the music, too. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, you all have been feet on the ground with Rock to the Rescue for a while now. So I think it's really important to show that you all do take it beyond the music.
Well, I think it's our responsibility to help lead people in a positive direction. If we've got their attention and they will listen to what we say, it's our responsibility to not just throw that out the window and say, we don't care about that. We're going to write whatever the hell we want. It's our responsibility to be at least somewhat responsible to the world around us.
Well, that's beautiful, and I appreciate that, especially as a fan, and probably just as a human on top of that. On the musical side of things, you know, and not knowing, you know, so when the song's already kind of put in place and you're there to put your parts on it, do you still find your opportunity to use the guitar specifically to further the story? Like, what's the process for you there?
Well, it's Will, who, as I said, is kind of the newest member of the team and plays guitar himself. He continually says to me every time I walk in there, he says, Jay White, nobody plays like you. And that's not, I don't think that's exactly true, but my influences are dramatically different. And having seen Hendrix 5 times and having seen the Mahavishnu Orchestra play live and having done a record with Jan Hammer, who is, you know, genius level on keyboards and an incredible drummer that he gets no credit for, it seems to me in some days. But I've played with some of the best musicians on the planet. Jerry Goodman, who was in Mahavishnu, grew up in the Chicago area. I didn't really come to know him later, but I mean, he was telling me how great I was the other day, and I'm saying, Jerry, you can play circles around me. But playing circles around and being able to be flashy and come up with great things is one thing, but you'd like the whole thing to sort of communicate some emotion and some rational, positive thought on occasion. We can also point out the trials and tribulations that are around us and try to make people more aware of things that maybe they're not aware of. But Tommy writes a song called, that's Sound the Alarm is a song on this record. And it's done so very quietly in relation to some of the rest of this music we play. But it's also done with powerful human emotion. Tommy Show's got the ability to sing. He can sing like a 350-pound black man. Someone has credited him with being able to do that because he really does have a great bluesy rock and roll voice. But he can also sing, a beautiful ballad, and he's a great partner.
Well, I read about getting to add in some, new sounds to this record that hadn't been used in previous Styx record, and of course the 3 vocalists at one time in one song.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where what do you have to do for it to still be a Styx song? Is there a certain parameter that has to be in place, like that makes it a Styx song? Because I will agree, your guitar playing is so unique that when I hear it, I might not be able to explain why, but I can say, "Oh, right, that's why doing that. That's obviously you." But is there is there any rules in place, like, but this is what makes it a Styx song?
In recent interviews, just talking to guitar playing magazines, I mean, I compared Tommy's playing to Eric Clapton because it's very lyrical, it's very controlled, but yet it's really, founded in the blues and the Chicago blues, and Hendrix, Hendrix is my idol, although I learned the Clapton's Crossroads solo note for note. And that helped me learn how's he doing that? And then I saw Cream play live many times as well before they broke up. So I don't know, Tommy. It's nice to have variety. That is the spice of life, and for us to sort of have the respect that we have. Tommy did some great work in Damn Yankees. I mean, that band was a great band. Ted Nugent's politics I probably don't agree with, but
right,
he's quite the character. And so I don't know. It's kind of every day you wake up and what's the world offering me today, and what can I offer the world back? And so it's not the same every day, but there's I think our sound is recognizable. My playing is, I guess, recognizable. Although for me it's completely derivative of Hendrix and Clapton and Buddy Guy, the king of the Chicago blues, and on and on and on. So I don't know. I just love doing this as a profession. It's insane to get paid for it. It's beautiful to get paid for it. It's hard actually to work yourself in a position where you do actually make money at it, but we've done that, and I think we're sending out positive energy and positive messages to people, and bringing them joy. And maybe most importantly, distracting them from all the crazy stuff that's going around and giving them something to focus on that's positive. I think we all need to push the negative away and embrace the positive with all our might.
You talk about a lot of your heroes. There are also moments on here, and it might just be a natural thing because, you're all sort of drinking from the same influential well, but I also hear some of your contemporaries, your peers, sounds and vibes, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Our Wonderful Lives, I get a little bit of the Fleetwood Mac thing. Stream.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of it's got definitely a Pink Floyd thing, especially, Staring Into Space. It seems like it comes a bit more into your world there. And it's like, as a fan, you do often hear about, artists talking about their heroes, the generation or two before them and everything. But how often is it that you all take the time to say, oh, yeah, these are our buddies, and we do sort of sound like them as well?
I guess it's when we do interviews with people like you.
Touche. Yeah.
Which we've done a bunch of.
Right. The stream is an interesting place to leave the record, especially as it just fades out instead of stops. I mean, I don't know if I'm looking too deeply into it. I guess thematically, I wonder what's going on there. Because as the magnifying lens is so focused on what's going on in our present day world throughout the record, at the end of it, it seems like it turns in the opposite direction. Again, staring into space. I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
Well, I mean, we are millions of miles away from. We have yet to really discover any animal life. I don't know if there's signs of plant life that's been frozen, maybe on Mars. But I mean, in actuality, ultimately, we can turn away as long as we want. But when it's dinner time, you got to turn right back. You got to turn right back to Earth, and say, what has Mother Earth provided me with today? And so I think not that it's really an environmental message, but we're getting to be an overpopulated planet, and and I don't know, the all the stuff that you can want to talk about ecologically is there's concerns at every level. And so I think my goal is to find the joy in each day, because sometimes it's impossible to find it. You got to search for it. But we should not focus on the negative. We should try and focus on something positive every day, and look for something a little different. If we can't find it today, we got to find it somehow tomorrow. And I think there's many positive things out there. The kindness that people show to others, the generosity that people show to others. I grew up in the south side of Chicago, which has changed dramatically in terms of there. But my best friend in the world is born half African American, half white, and he actually came from New York. And his birth father was from somewhere in the East Indies, but his mother was lily white. And he walks. I watch the path that he walks. He actually teaches filmmaking at DePaul at this point in time. He's a feature filmmaker. We went to college together at Illinois Institute of Technology, where I was an engineering student, and then he was in the Institute of Design. And I tended not to hang with the engineers, but with the design people, because they were really the ones that were into music and what I was into. So Stephen A. Jones, if you ever see his name, he's my best friend in the world, and he makes feature films and does other things.
A little bit of what you're getting at there with the ecological thing and just everything that's happening even politically. This year also, you talk about next year being the 50th anniversary of the band, but this year marks 40 for Paradise Theater, which a huge record in itself. And as I read,
no doubt.
Yeah, as I read, even about what you guys were getting at then, America's changing times from the 70s into the 80s. Do you see any parallels between, those two albums, the new record and that one?
I hadn't reflected on that, but I think, we're trying to reflect on every record we do. I think it's sort of can't help but reflect the times that you're creating it in, unless you're really going for something that's very esoteric but Paradise Theater connected to this record. Yeah, I guess there is. There's numerous connections. Just in terms of our musical styles, there's similarities to those days, and to trying to put positive messages, but still trying to encourage people to find the joy in each day, because there is joy there if you search for it, and sometimes it's very hard to find. But I'm not no dramatic parallels that I can turn into a small paragraph here, but stylistically, it's not that far away.
I just, I look back and it's interesting to see or try to understand what made that one so special in its moment. I can look back, it's an amazing record, but trying to remember, like, what was it specifically at that time that connected with so many people. And it still does today, that's says a lot about the music right there.
Well, the best of times, that's from a Dickens novel, Best of Times, Worst of Times. And so we were reflecting Charles Dickens in a song in a early album that really got to the number one spot. And Rockin' the Paradise was about, making that into a modern day thing. And Dennis wrote The Best of Times, as I said, to resonate with the Dickens deal. And Snowblind was kind of, saying, well, this is the American dream gone left or gone crazy. And that was my idea for a song, and then Dennis helped me finish it. So we're as artists, you reflect what you know, and try and reflect what's going on, and trying to hopefully find a way to instill joy and hope into people's daily grind.
So next year with the 50th of that self-titled, you're going to be able, hopefully, to tour the heck out of this record too. But are you guys going to be marking that with any big celebration?
Well, when we turn around and see that we're all alive on February 22nd, 2022, then we'll find something stupid to do from us today that hopefully isn't too self-destructive. But we're entitled. 50 years, I think we're entitled to be as self-destructive as we want to be, as long as we wake up the next day and can walk straight. So,
Right. In the meantime, again, I love what you guys do. I love what you all continue to do, Crash at the Crown, and even the same Stardust, that little mini EP that came out with this as well. That was kind of a fun little thing. And I should ask, I heard, I mean, there was even more leftover stuff. I think someone said it could have been a double album. Do you guys think you're going to be releasing more of this stuff, or does that, get pushed just to the side for the whatever else?
Well, I've kind of turned the reins over to Tommy and our manager. Because Tommy seems to be the creative leader, and I mean Lawrence has got to be credited right alongside him. I've got some ideas for songs, but I haven't gotten started on them yet. So I don't know. I think I'm going to be interested to get the answer to that question myself a year from now, or 6 months from now, actually. So.
We'll all be listening either way. You got all the time in the world. That's the important thing to remember.
Yep.
That's it. Man, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on Crash of the Crown. I can't wait to hear how these songs really do blossom live and everything. And whatever the future holds, the 50 years, congrats on that as well. That's no easy feat for any band, obviously. And also importantly, thanks for taking the time to talk about it. It was a real pleasure.
My pleasure.
All right, man. Take care. We'll see you around. All right.
Cheerio. Bye.
Now, JY and I last caught up back in 2017 when they just finally returned with new music. So a little bit that we had talked about in this previous interview here. It's an album called The Mission, a thematic LP about a manned trip to Mars in the near future. And it's packed with riffs and movements that recall their chart-topping 70s period. So we got to talk about the comeback and whether or not he'd take that trip himself. So part 2 of Kyle Meredith with Styx.
Hello.
Excited to talk to you. Excited to talk about a new Styx record. Quite the surprise.
Well, 14 years later, we decided to subject ourselves to the punishment of the critics and what have you, and take another run at it. And kind of inspired by NASA and the discovery of the Pluto having a fifth moon, and them inviting us to see the flyby when the space probe went past it and stuff, and get the first pictures back from so far away in space, and found out there's a bunch of Styx fans in NASA, and it kind of, I think, was helped inspired this whole thing, newly inspired us, who rode the tails of Come Sail Away back 40 years ago.
Right.
And get back into the outer space business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of well-timed, too, because I was thinking about the generations. Like, you guys grew up in a time when space travel was the new frontier, and every little boy wanted to fly, and now here we are in what feels like this space renaissance. If you went searching for a theme, and I don't know how you guys did it, if you decided, let's make a new record and we need a theme, or how it happened, but it was the perfect time to kind of pull that back in for this theme.
Well, the genesis was kind of maybe 2 years ago when because Tommy is kind of the lead writer in the band, Tommy Shaw, my guitar playing colleague, and he's gone off and done projects with other people. He did a bluegrass record with Alison Krauss a couple years back, and I never know what he's up to, and he's kind of not been interested sometimes in making new music, or at least thinking about it. And but all of a sudden he said, I've got this concept, and this is what it's inspired by, and I've got some music here that I've been working with. He has an outside collaborator that he worked with on his bluegrass record, and actually his old buddy Jack Blades from Damn Yankees, they'd go out and do acoustic performances where they play Styx songs, Night Ranger songs, and some other stuff from Damn Yankees, obviously, do an acoustic thing. And this guy was the third voice in that, a guy named Willa Vankovich, who's very skilled in his own right. And so he and Tommy had been doing some writing, and kind of went on from there, and then they brought the rest of the band kind of into it, and we said, hey, this feels like the right time for us to do this. We had, 14 years ago, when we put Cyclorama out, we thought it was a great record, but we got virtually no traction with it whatsoever. And so that was kind of a painful thing to spend a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money on something that went nowhere. But that's what we used to do in the early days, and it just took us 14 years to get our gumption up to try it again. But at this point, we have very low expectations, but high hopes, because we think this is a great record, and there's some great songs on here, and then the whole concept of it just kind of there's a lot of themes that do resonate with life on Earth that we're just using to travel through space as a metaphor to get to those themes.
Yeah, and I noticed on there in the writing, you guys are betting on 2033 as the year we make it to Mars. Would you buy the ticket? Would you pay for the ticket yourself? You hear about these folks going to the moon, wanting to go to the moon. How about you?
I'd go to the moon. I don't think I would go to Mars. The moon, I think there's a good chance of getting back from. Mars, there's all kinds of issues they have yet to solve, and and plus, I think the big thing was we went to NASA has a facility in Huntsville, Alabama. They showed us it costs a fortune to bring water into outer space. So the way you continue to get water is you recycle your urine. Any sort of wastewater gets all completely recycled, and they've got a way to where it comes out like really fresh, pure water. But the whole idea, you recycle all your waste when you're up there, is because you can't bring it. You're going on a trip, and you can stop at the gas station and pick up some chips and a Coca-Cola or whatever. It's you got to bring it all with you, and a trip to Mars, I don't think so.
Well, I do want to say musically, the whole thing sounds, rejuvenated. I don't know is even strong enough word for this, because it was so much fun to listen. And as you talk about the lyrical plan, what was the musical plan in this? When they bring you, the theme and the idea, what did you guys go into it talking about musically? Because it does seem like it's more than just jamming, I guess.
Well, I think God bless and God rest our original drummer, John Panazza, who passed in '96, but his replacement has been voted. Todd Sucherman has been voted like number one rock drummer in Reader's Polls of Modern Drummer magazine more than once, and he's almost always in the top 5 or 10 there. And he's allows us to go off into sort of more adventurous time signatures, and I think just overall as a band, writing simple 12-bar songs. It's still fun to do, but we also have the ability to go beyond that and go off into crazy time signatures for a minute or two here and there, and which creates a different feel and just kind of adds to these for certain things. There's a song called Red Storm on here where we go into all these crazy different things, but that would happen in a cinematic sense, if you were subject to a big dust storm on Mars. So we have the ability to stretch a lot more, and because there's no pressure on us to come up with 10 singles on this record like there was maybe back in the day, we'll write straight ahead stuff in 4/4 for about half the record, and then we'll just have an adventure for ourselves, time signature wise and just musical structure-wise with the other half of the record.
Oh, I love the way it's turned out. And the whole thing that you guys kept this a secret for a few years. I can't help but quoting you with, secret, I've got a secret. But, that nobody slipped up and put this out into the press is sort of amazing these days.
I don't know. I'm not involved in social media at all, although we certainly are StyxWorld.com is our website, and we have people in our office that are we have a Facebook page and all that stuff, and that's all beneficial in terms of bringing people in. But just we did this very quietly, and and then maybe just the mainstream press doesn't really care very much about Styx anymore. So it was not as difficult to hide it because nobody was looking for it, and that's partly having been gone for more than 10 years. I think that people figured maybe they're never going to make another record. So
yeah. Did you think that maybe you would never make another record?
Well, people, I'd say people might have said, are these guys ever going to make another record? Well, we heard that a lot. So, but we finally just kind of decided to ride with it and wait to see if we could get, make, because if people know about it in advance, then it takes too much. It takes another year or two to come out. Then by the time it does come out, nobody cares about it anymore. And we decided we're just got to dump it all at once and see where that gets us. And so far we get there's a lot of excitement in Styx fan world, and I think the response of people like you who are just hearing it now, they say we've done good work, and we'll see where that gets us.
All right. Well, I'm excited about it. I do love what I've heard so far. Congratulations, and looking forward to the tour this summer as well. It was really nice talking to you.
Absolutely. All right.
We'll see you around.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And again, my thanks to JY there. The new record is called Crash of the Crown. Thanks to you as well for sticking around, checking out this episode. Again, hit that subscribe button before you get out of here so you can keep up with all the interviews that I put out every single week. Brand new ones every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. Discover some new ones and know what's happening in the music world. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. After that, head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, and bonus interviews. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all three of them at Kyle Meredith. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Not answering that. Don't know who that is. Turn this down then. And ending. Turn all the way off. All right.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.